tell him about the time we faced them.
All right. Well, as I remember.
At Avenger headquarters.
Because united, the Avengers are strong.
Welcome to the Marvel DNC Evolution podcast with myself, Andy Stead.
And I'm Jarian Gibson.
And I'm Alex Strout.
And
I'm
we are
Fred
joined
Carmichael.
We are joined this week by Fred Carmichael. Fred, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really, really well. Thank you very much. And thank you for coming on. And
Thanks
not
for
only
having me.
coming on live. We're on live right now across a lot of different streams. So, Fred, we're going to get stuck into talking to you any moment. We don't want to waste any time. We want to keep these people entertained. So,
Coming on live.
I've got a little bit of feedback here, Jarian.
That's me. Sorry, I was checking the thing and I had my volume on. Sorry.
Technical issues. We can edit that out later. Oh, no, we can't.
Let it go.
So, anyway, Jarian, how are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, doing all right. Excited to be live today. We are live streaming to the group, to the Facebook page, to Twitch, and to our Twitter account. Not to YouTube yet, but some technical difficulties there. But hopefully next time we'll have that going.
Excellent. This is a first. This is a first for me, and I don't know about you guys. Alex, how are you? All right?
I'm doing well. As you can see, I bought way too many Funkos as normal. Yeah.
I would have expected nothing less from you, Alex, to be totally honest.
At this point, right?
Yeah, exactly. I bought one this week. So yeah, we've got Fred on. And Fred's been a part of our group pretty much since the beginning, and has been running a feature, haven't you, Fred? For us, it's been like a free feature for us because obviously us guys that admin the group, we try and put out content, and obviously people post things on the group. But we've always said about your posts, your agree or disagree posts are like a free feature for us. I said we don't have to do anything; you do it for us. This is great. And it was the other week you got up to number 99. I love how you've numbered them, by the way. That's excellent. It's led to this. We got up to number 99, and we said, look, if we're going to go live, it's got to be for something like this. And we're going to do number 100 and a couple more afterwards in a moment. But it's really good to finally get you on and sort of meet, quote unquote, face to face.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Good, excellent. And what just before we get started for our agree or disagree, what sort of gave you the idea for the agree or disagree? What sort of spurred that on, and what kept you going with it as well over all of this time? 99 of them.
Well, so basically, I used to run something similar for a Super Smash Brothers group, but I only got to like number 35 because people were not really into it. So, but when I tried doing it in this group, I had a lot of positive feedback. So I was like, I'm just gonna keep going, and here I am.
Here you are at number 99. And I'll tell you what I've always loved about them as well is I remember somebody, I can't remember how long ago it was, and I can't remember which one it was, but somebody said something. Somebody like had a go at you about it, like, "Oh, that's a stupid opinion," and you was like, "Whoa, wait a minute! I'm not here to argue about it. I just want to know whether you agree or disagree with what I've just said. Like, that's it." But I quite like that kind of you just shrug it off really easily. You just kind of go, "No, like, do you agree or do you not agree? You obviously don't agree. That's fine."
Yeah. No, I've heard you talk about that in the previous podcast episode. I often disagree with the posts I put on. It's just like I guess I just write it in a way that sounds better, but it's not necessarily my opinion.
Yeah, and I like that. You said that in the past. It's not necessarily my opinion. It's just something to kick off a conversation. So
yeah,
that's really cool. I really like that. And we're very appreciative, aren't we, guys?
Yeah, we are. And they're so relevant to like normal discussions of what's happening in Marvel too, that it's like another great way to like talk about Marvel, talk about the MCU, and just kind of like talk about even just speculation about things. They lead to so many other conversations as well. So
They do. They kind of give us ideas sometimes as well, don't they? We start talking. We go in our little group. We sort of chat. So like the sort of admins, we go, "Oh, have you seen Fred's number 64?" And we sort of start chatting about it.
Well, that's great.
It is good. It is good. So before we get started on number 100, just we ask all of our guests, and let's not treat you any differently. What sort of got you into Marvel and comics and the MCU and all of those kind of things in the first place?
Okay, so I guess it would be the Sam Raimi Spider-Man when I was little. It was like I used to dress as Spider-Man every day, and then they released Iron Man, and I wasn't reading comics back then, so I was like, I don't know who that is. I just went to see it, and then they released Thor, and I was like, okay, good, And then it was the first Avenger, and it blew my mind. And after that, I'm just like, I'm sold. They could make a terrible movie, and I'd love it.
we were talking about this. Someone said about this the other day. Someone just said, "No, I just trust what Marvel do." Like,
yeah, exactly.
I'm there. I'm with it. I'm with it. Wicked. Well, look, this is weird. I feel weird doing this, but we've got Jamie's on. Jamie's with us. Jamie's watching, and Lisa's watching. Hello, Lisa. How are you? This is fun. I feel like I'm a real professional. I feel like I'm a professional now. I'm not just doing this for a laugh. Right, okay. So I'll tell you what then. Without further ado, let's get number 100. Agree or disagree? This is a monumental moment. I feel really like, nervous about this moment. It's better be good. It's better be good.
No pressure. No pressure.
Yeah. So before you say it, if anybody's listening, anybody's watching, if you agree or disagree with Fred, get on the group. Let us know whether you agree or disagree.
Should I
if you've
post
got
it
a
first?
sentence. Sorry, mate, go on.
Should I post it first?
Yeah, post it. Yeah, post it as well. David, how you doing, David? David's watching as well. Excellent. We've got some people watching us, guys. This is great. So yeah, but let us know what you think. We'll try and read out your opinions, and obviously Jari and Alex and I will give our opinions and whether we agree or disagree on the next few numbers on this list. Then, so Fred, over to you. Let's go. Number 100.
Okay, so agree or disagree, number 100. Fan service is a good thing when it comes to superhero movies.
Ooh, it's a good one. This is a good one.
It is a good one. Do you know what? I always find the answer to every question. I always start off by saying, well, it depends.
Yeah, most of the time.
I think you've got to earn the right to give fan service. I think a franchise or a set of movies, in my opinion, I think has got to earn the right to be able to do fan service, and it's okay. I don't think you can go straight in with fan service. I think you've got to do some background work before you can do that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of yes, but it depends when it comes. I think if you go straight off the back and start sort of just giving fans everything they want in movie number one within a franchise or within a trilogy or whatever it is, I think it's kind of a bit shallow, and it's almost like you haven't. Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's almost like a cheat, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's forced almost is kind of how it feels in that kind of respect. And for me, I think I kind of agree, but I see both sides of it, but I'm going to have to say I agree because I feel like that's what the hype of a lot of these things are is like, like take that scene where like, in No Way Home where all the Spider-Man are pointing at each other, like we saw that meme and that was kind of like a little fan service for that meme,
Yep.
So it's like even the small things, it's not about just like what you've seen before in a comic or what you might want to see in a movie. I mean, it's even like pop culture references to things now that are fan services, so I'm gonna have to say agree.
No, he's gone agree. Go on, Jaron, where are you going?
I guess it depends on the situation because I think some situations they should do it and some they shouldn't, and I'll give some examples, right?
Yeah,
Kingpin and Hawkeye, definitely an example of fan service that they should do it. That's where I agree. What Alex mentioned about the whole Spider-Man pointing at each other, absolutely agree. If we get Tom Cruise in Multiverse of Madness as Iron Man, I
No.
absolutely 100% positively disagree with that. I do not want to see that happen. That'll probably make me mad if I see that happen. These old castings they had from like the 90s, 80s of some of these actors in the roles. I don't want to see any of them. Now, if we see some of the fan service, like a rumored Mr. Fantastic cameo type thing, maybe, yes, that's good fan service, but Tom Cruise, no.
Mhm.
Stay away.
What about the Hoff? What about getting
who?
David Hasselhoff? What about if we
Oh.
get David Hasselhoff?
David
Like back
Hasselhoff's
as Nick
Fury.
Fury.
Yeah, I guess that one wouldn't be as bad as Tom Cruise, so I'd be okay with that one. Looks like we have here. I'm gonna put this on the page here. We can show comments on the screen. So
Yeah.
here's one that we have right here. So this is from the group. Says I agree with the I agree with this podcast. Good show, fellows. I love it. Fred, I agree. But it comes with strings. There has to be a boundary, which I completely agree. So you
Mhm.
definitely agree on that one.
Yeah. I get your point. I'm still just on the cameo things. I'm with Luke. I'm with Luke Smith from Hydra Collectibles. Just chuck them in. Let's have them all. Let's just do it now. Let's have them all, and then we can clean slate and sort of start again. If we're gonna do cameos, let's just go crazy and have some cameos, eh?
Oh, here another
yeah.
one. Another one here from the on the stream chat. I agree with Jarian 100%. Just say no to Cruz.
That's going to be my room 101 if that happens. The Tom Cruise thing.
Exactly.
What about the cameo of Zac Efron as Wolverine?
Yes, come on.
Yes. See, I love that.
It's not a cameo, Fred.
And he's like, "That's a casting. That's a casting."
Do you know
No,
what?
I think if there is sorry, go on.
No, go for it, Fred. Go on.
I think if there is a genre to do fan service, I think the superhero genre is pretty much the best one to do it.
And
But I've been very vocal about this. I'm not really. I don't really like the idea of all these cameos in Doctor Strange 2. I feel like it should just be, a Doctor Strange movie without distraction from the Fox. I don't want the Fox X-Men to come back in any way at all. I just want them to be the different thing, and we have our own new X-Men, and we don't talk about the other ones.
Don't talk about it.
so I think
Hold on, wait, Jarian, hold on 1 second. Just quickly give a shout out to Roxy's watching. Roxy's there. Hey, Roxy, and Lisa's come on as well. Do you want to chuck that on? She said Lisa's agrees, but she agrees with Jarian. Definitely no Cruise.
As things come to the chat on our post, I can show them on the stream, which I've been showing some of them too while we've been talking.
But sorry, I interrupted. Carry on.
Yeah, I think Multiverse of Madness is a great way to just chuck a bunch in, because I think Multiverse of Madness, a lot of these cameos will be similar to kind of like No Way Home, where they'll just be in this movie and kind of just not be in. And again, if some of the rumors, I'm not going to go into those because I don't want to spoil anything. But if some of the rumors are true, they're just going to be cameos for this film, and that's it. And that's all I'll say, because I don't want to slip up and say anything that I've seen as far as more deep rumors. Alex knows what I'm talking about. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
No, I think if there was ever a time to do it, just put it in and then get it over and done with. It's now. But I do see what you're saying, though, Fred. I think leave well enough alone. We don't need, and I certainly agree with. We need a new set of X-Men, but so if they are just sort of short cameos as fan service in Multiverse of Madness, then I'd agree with that in that respect.
Yep, X-Men characters, Fantastic Four characters, any of them they bring in from the other properties that they own again now. Just have them do fan service for this film. Maybe we'll see some come back for Secret Wars, but for the majority of them, just a one and done, get it over with.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree. Jamie said that we need Cage back as Ghost Rider.
Yep, I put that on the page.
Do we though?
I think
that's one of those where we can get him on screen for maybe 3 seconds, and that's all he needs. Like no more.
Yeah,
Get Nicolas Cage off screen.
Yeah, just like second cameos. I'm good.
It'd be interesting though. Bring him back. Kind of, maybe he dies. The torch gets handed to a new Johnny Blaze or to Danny Keaton or to Robbie Reyes. Like I said, I still want to see Moon Knight driving the Hell Charger on screen. That's the one thing I want to see is just that moment. So
And the cool thing about the Ghost Rider character too is they can kind of do this thing where like there's multiple Ghost Riders and they can either have multiple at one time or they have like one and the torch is passed to like multiple characters. So you could eventually have like 3 or 4 Ghost Riders from now, like the Cosmic Ghost Rider. You know, that would be wild to see something like that ever happen. But
or even have Nick Cage pop up as the caretaker.
yeah.
You know, something like that as a fan service one. So that'd be a good one too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That'd be like you say, having those their characters. Sorry, the actor comes back not necessarily as the character though.
Yep.
They sort of cameo, just almost like as a nod to sort of go, oh, do you remember this guy played that guy? You know,
kind of like we saw like Lou Ferrigno be the security guard in Hulk. So
yeah, in that way, that's kind of that's subtle fan service, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which I think we can all probably get behind. Talking of fan service, I watched Ghostbusters Afterlife yesterday, which I really enjoyed, by the way. And I thought, what a fitting and really touching kind of memorial to Harold Ramis.
Yes.
To be totally honest, the way that they did it in the end, and the way that they did the little text come up, the for Harold at the end before the actual movie had, or kind of before the movie had finished. I thought it was really nice. I thought they'd done that really, really well. And before that, I'd heard that it was a lot about the kids, and I was a little bit worried that I wouldn't enjoy it as much. But actually, it was really good, and I think that had some really nicely done fan service in it.
Yes,
while we're talking about fan service,
that was fan service done right, and I agree with you. I absolutely loved it. It's kind of the way they did the nostalgia, did the fan service, but they also kind of passed the torch while still including some of the original Ghostbusters going forward with the closing credit scenes and that kind of stuff. I won't go too deep in it for those who haven't seen it, but if you haven't seen Afterlife, go see it, because forget about the other Ghostbusters that happened in between there. Go watch Afterlife. It's really enjoyable and it's really well done.
Yeah, it is. It is. Good one, Fred. Good one for a number 100. I like it, and that's going to go on the group. And hopefully we'll get some good comments from that once that goes on your post on the group. Obviously, we've got some feedback here live, but we'll see what sort of conversations that brings up. So there we go. That was number 100. So off we're going next, Fred.
Yeah. So agree or disagree? Number 101. Comic book movies should be as close as they can to the comic book counterparts, to the source material.
Oh my gosh! Is this a setup? Is this a setup? Seriously? I'll stop.
Go on, you can start. Go on.
Okay, so I'll start. So while I get there's the comic books are source materials and kind of a roadmap for the movies, and they have that liberty to do some things to fit within their grand scheme of things. So this is it depends on me, because if I like how you can't stay 100% true, because there's some stuff in the comics that should not be on screen, right? And I'm not going to go into some of that stuff, but there's some darker stuff in there. Like for example, you even couldn't do Deadpool Max on the screen, right? That'd be an adult film. That's a Cinemax late night film, right? Not a Disney Plus, Disney film, Marvel film aimed towards kids, for example. So, well, I get that some things can't come over. They still need to have certain respect in regards to the characters, not do a complete flip of the characters. I understand racial swaps or gender swaps. If they fit the story, that's fine. Like Ajax and Eternals, their vision for that movie, that's where it fits. That's a good one. Taskmaster being a chip in its head, no, that's a terrible one. I don't care about the actual sex of the character, but being a chip and a robotic person, that was completely bad for me. So it depends how they do it and how far they go. And so there's some examples of yes and no for me, or agree and disagree for me.
So for me, I think I'm going to have to say no, just because, number one, you can go and read an entire comic book story. Then if you want to go see that in a movie theater, why do you want to see almost the exact same thing word for word? You know what I'm saying? We see a lot of scenes recreated, we see a lot of that stuff, but the beauty in Marvel is we get stuff based off of the source material mixed with other stories, and they combine elements of some things. Sometimes it doesn't always work in our favor, like Extremis and Iron Man 3. Like, like I didn't like how that was done in comparison to the original story in the comics. But I mean, like, I think that's it's kind of like a pick and choose game, So I don't know. I think I'm going to have to disagree on that one.
Yeah, I think I fundamentally disagree with it, but I do think that there's elements that should be taken and that should be respected. Certain lines or certain moments, which I think they do. I think they've really have struck a really nice balance with it. They have taken certain moments straight off the panels and put them straight onto the screen, and they work really well. And I think they've actually got the balance really nice. And yeah, I don't like all of this kind of, oh well, that's not what happened in the comics. It's like, well, yeah, because it's not a retelling of what the comics were. It's not a movie of that comic. That's just a part of the story. We've said millions of times in the past about how things, the source material isn't just the comics. It's the comics. It's the cartoons. It's the the TV shows. It's all the other things. There's a lot more to source material than just purely the comics in the Marvel or in any comic book superhero movie world. And so yeah, I think I do disagree, but I do think that they've struck a nice balance between getting that right. So yeah, I think fundamentally I disagree. Have we got anything?
Someone agrees with me about Taskmaster, but
I think most people agree with you about Taskmaster. I think it'd be hard pushed to find somebody who sort of disagrees with what you said. I mean, as much as it was kind of all right, and if there wasn't really any background to that character, you probably wouldn't know any different, and you probably wouldn't bat much of an eyelid at it. But actually, that's one of those ones where you've got to kind of respect it a little bit more than that, Go on, what's that? What's Jamie saying? Jamie's saying keep the core of the stories and the characters and adapt around. New creations can be a minefield. Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of that, instead of trying to completely change a character and to redo them, just make a new character in general instead of trying to do something like that. So I think that's where Jamie has a good point on there.
Yeah, I was your point of what you was just coming up with there, Jarian, and I think that kind of mixes with Jamie's one about the gender swaps and the racial swaps and things like that. I think they've got to be careful that they don't take what made a character special and take it away from them, And I think, as you said, if they want to put new characters in that represent different groups or different people or different backgrounds and things like that, then they should. It's not nobody's saying that you can't create a new character, especially if it's relevant for right now. I think that's really important that people aren't patronized by going, oh yeah, and by the way, Steve Rogers has been bisexual for the last 60 years, but you just didn't know. It's like, hold on, that's a bit, that's a bad. I mean, they haven't done that obviously, but that's a bad move. There's different ways that you can do things, and I think they should be mindful of that going forward. Like you say, create new characters rather than rehashing these old ones. What's RM saying? What's RMC? What's the RMC saying on this? He's split on this. His thoughts align with Jarian again. You're good, mate. He likes you, don't he? There's incidences.
I just like that. Sorry, I just like that. The MCU has been embracing the wackiness of comic books more and more. For example, a good example of this is Hawkeye. In the first couple of movies, all he had was bomb arrows and normal arrows, and now they actually use the trick arrows. And I'm willing to bet that Kate Bishop in the future movies, she's gonna use trick arrows all the time. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, boomerang arrow, we're gonna see it.
Yeah, we didn't get it from the Matt Fraction run, so we got to get it at some time, right?
Yeah, so Lisa's saying, I get really annoyed when a film is not like the comic book. My husband won't come to the cinema with me if I've already read the comic book. However, with comics, I don't think they need to keep them the same. It's great to have new material based off the comics.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's kind of the sort of general consensus of everybody watching this evening and listening to us this evening. So yeah, I think Marvel Studios have struck a nice balance between it, but I think there's lines that they can't cross with certain people and certain storylines and things that they have to include.
I don't know. I think I'm going to have to
Oh,
disagree.
Sorry,
there's Alex
did it again.
talking
Yep, did it again.
I'm going back in
Clicked on the
time,
wrong
yeah.
thing.
Nice, number 101. Anybody got anything else to add to 101 before we go to 102? No?
Mm-mm.
Go on in, Fred. Let's do it. Number 102. Let's go.
Number one. Okay, so agree or disagree. Number 102, and this one is very topical. The Netflix shows are not canon.
Oh my God. Is this a setup? I don't even know. Wait. Okay. So hold on. The Netflix shows are not canon. So if I agree, they're not canon. If I disagree, they are. Right. Okay. Gotcha. As soon as it's almost like a play on words. You're trying to catch us out.
Mhm.
I don't know.
I'll jump on this
one
one first.
Go on,
go ahead, Alex.
Alex is in. No, Alex
Okay.
is in. He's definitely in.
All right, so I'm gonna say that I agree that they're not canon. But here's the funny thing about the shows is the shows try to reference events from the MCU, but the MCU doesn't really care to reference anything about the shows. So even though we'll get characters like Charlie Cox like playing characters like Daredevil, they're not going to be the same. It's not going to be probably the same history. Like it'll be one of those like, oh yeah, about Daredevil, you've seen him play Daredevil, but like it's even the rumors about like the costumes completely different, So I mean I'm gonna have to say that I agree that it's not canon. I'm gonna put a hard foot down on that one.
Yeah.
Just before Jarian starts, the RMC has just laughed. That's what it's done. It's laughed. It just went, ha ha ha. Thanks, yeah. Cheers. Go on, Jarian.
Yeah, so I'm going to agree that they're not canon. And I know there's been some things said by some of the actors at first, like Vincent D'Onofrio, when he made, when he came out and said that, along the lines that they are. But then he came back and said he doesn't actually know. And then you heard the writers for Hawkeye come out and say, we're trying to move things forward and not look back, trying to pull what we can. And then pretty much it sounds like Kevin Feige himself wants nothing to do with anything outside of the main MCU and Disney Plus. Doesn't seem like he likes the shows on Hulu. Other than Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox, we haven't seen anyone else come over yet. Yes, there's rumor Jessica Jones, and yes, there's rumors for the Punisher coming over. But everything that I keep reading keeps saying soft reboots, which to me means the characters and the actors coming over, but the stories are not. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's been the sort of whispers for a long time, hasn't it? Those soft reboots.
Yep.
Roxy's agreed, except Daredevil.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the main issue with this is that all because of Defenders and how these shows were made, they're all connected. So if you agree that Daredevil is canon, that means they're all canon, which means we get Finn Jones as Iron Fist, and no one really wants that.
We're not getting that.
And see, this all goes back to the fan service thing, where it's like Charlie Cox was brought back as Daredevil because there was so many people that loved him and his portrayal of the character. I mean, there was even a petition for him, bring back Daredevil. So
I
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I agree that
sorry.
they're not. Oh yeah, I was just going to say I think I agree that they're not canon. I think we can clutch at straws all we want, but I'm in the sort of the soft reboot camp and have been for a long time, and I agree.
And you go with kind of what Alex was saying too, that everything's a kind of a one way to the shows, not back to the MCU. So
Yeah.
while the shows recognize it, the MCU main timeline does not recognize it. So there's your answer right there.
I think they did that probably that way. If the MCU ever decided that they wanted to one day to include that, it's kind of like how AOS kind of references the MCU, and then it kind of like does its own thing there in the later seasons. Like it doesn't really run parallel to anything in the MCU. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we're all good. What's your point? What's your thoughts on that, Fred?
Well, I think they're not canon. I think it would be hard for them to make all of these. There's too many seasons. There's too many shows. You can't. It's like a whole universe that you have to make canon. Also, as much as I love The Punisher, the show, it's not Disney appropriate. It's going to be very hard for Disney to make a PG-13 Punisher.
Yeah,
well, let's come back to that when I talk about the news. So we'll come back to the Punisher and some other things when I come to the news. So
excellent.
real quick though.
Yeah,
one thing I want to add too. People keep saying the multiverse makes anything possible. I don't think that's true, because if the multiverse did make it possible, we've kind of would have seen some things come over. Yes, they did well with the Spider-Man movies, but those are the only ones they've done so far. I don't think that Multiverse of Madness will bring over any of the TV shows into it. I think it will be strictly just old movie properties from Fox that'll come over. So
also, doesn't Hawkeye the show kind of implies that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not canon because they cast the character?
Bobby Morse, Mockingbird, and people didn't get the whole argument saying, well, it's a mantle, they never told her number over, blah blah blah. And it's like it looks like Laura Barton is Mockingbird. Maybe she used to be Bobby Morse.
Has been for a while.
Yeah, and we'll get more to that in the future probably.
I quite liked. Was her name Adrian
Palacki? Yes,
Palicki?
She played it well.
Yeah, I thought she did as well. Yeah, she was one of my favourite characters in that show actually. But shame. But yeah, I kind of agree. I think like what you said, Feige seems to have sort of gone anything outside of Disney Plus and the movies. That's it.
It would be really funny if they did Multiverse of Madness, like the you know how they have like Deadpool kills the Marvel universe and stuff like that, where it's like Marvel kills the Fox Marvel universe, like type of deal. Go ahead and wipe the board.
I won't say anything. Because...
No, don't say anything. You got a good point, Fred. RMC agrees with you. Coming in, what we've got number 103, last one. Is this the last one? This is number 4 today, isn't it? Last one, yeah.
Okay, so agree, disagree. Number 104. The MCU will never top Endgame in the box office.
Do you know what? I thought you was going to stop after Endgame, and I was going to say I agree, but in regards to the box office thing, I think it will.
Yep,
I think it will. I think in regards to, I'm gonna bastardize your question big time, because if you would have stopped at the Endgame word, the MCU will never top Endgame, I would say yes. I would say no. I think you're right. I don't think they would ever top Endgame. I think that was such a. Every time I watch that movie, that last 20 minutes, 30 minutes, it just gives me chills every time. Just absolute chills. And I don't think even No Way Home, with everything that happened in that, it wasn't even close to how I felt watching Endgame. But box office, yes, I think it will, because I just think that the prices of cinema. Well, having said that, now with home releases and things like that, I don't know. Maybe the landscape of going to the theatre and box office sales will change because of the pandemic. I don't know, but if it didn't change, then I think prices of cinema tickets would just go up. Have you seen those adjusted box office, like top 10s or whatever they are, where they adjust for inflation and Casablanca's number 1 or something, isn't it? And there's all these movies that you never even would have thought would have taken a lot of money, but they adjust everything so everything's even. And like Titanic's nowhere to be seen, or I don't know, I can't remember exactly what's up there and what isn't, but yeah.
I'm gonna disagree on this one, just for the fact in the pandemic, look at what No Way Home did. As
Mhm.
far as box office numbers. So, and there's been rumors they're going to re-release No Way Home as well, possibly in the theaters. So, I think it's going to happen. Now,
Mm.
what Andy's additional content there about is not going to top Endgame. I don't know why. I love Endgame and everything. I think Secret Wars and what's going to go on with Kang and that kind of stuff. We have a
Mhm.
juggernaut coming. There's a
Mhm.
freight train coming, and Kang can pop up anywhere as any one of his variants. We're gonna lead
Mhm.
all roads are gonna lead to Secret Wars, and I think
Mhm.
Secret Wars is going to be bigger than Endgame.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not denying that we won't get a bigger movie, a bigger spectacle. But I think that feeling of that build up over 10 years
Mhm.
from nothing, uh, it's like looking at like special effects, for example, like looking at special effects. So if you look at something like Terminator 2 or Jurassic Park or The Matrix, um, special effects just don't. You look at what they can do now, and it's not. You sort of watch something and you go, "Oh right, okay, that's good." But back watching any of those three, you was absolutely blown away with what they could do. I haven't been blown away by a special effect for probably since Iron Man. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Nothing makes me go, wow, look at the special effects on that. And I think that's kind of the same thing. Like, I don't think you can repeat what they did over that 10 years.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't disagree that what is coming is going to be huge. I don't.
Mhm.
It will be huge. I just don't know whether it'll get that. Not from me personally. I don't think it'll get that intrinsic feeling that I got from Endgame.
But just think about
So.
King though. Sorry, Alex. Think about King though, real quick though. He can pop up anywhere at any time. Just from the start of Loki, at the end of Loki, when we saw He Who Remains, and he's like, if you think I'm bad, wait until you see my variants, type of thing. And
Mhm.
so we can see Kang pop up anywhere. Like even Moon Knight, we could see a flashback
Mhm.
with Khonshu and Ramatut, and people are going to probably go crazy over that. Multiverse of Madness, we could see him pop up. I'm sorry. Yeah, Alex had
I
a
hope he
great
does.
theory in the group about that, about Multiverse of Madness theory. Quantum Mania, we know he's going to be there. He could even pop up as Iron Lad somewhere, even if they wanted to.
Sure.
So there's
Yeah.
all kinds of potential for Kang variants to pop up anywhere, and depending how they do it and what other characters they bring in, will depend on that. But I think it will
Yeah.
top the build up.
And he is awesome as well, by the way, Jonathan Majors. I think I said the other day I'd watched The Harder They Fall on Netflix, and he's just
Mhm.
absolutely incredible. And Alex was saying about Lovecraft Country, weren't you? And saying about how good he is in that as well.
White
And
Boy Rick, he's
Yeah.
also good in that.
yeah, I've not seen that, but yeah, I think from what I've seen him, he's just incredible. So he's going to play that part excellently.
See, what I really hope they do, if they really like delve into the variant thing of Kang, is that moment in the comics where he's like standing there in the room and he's like looking at a bunch of people that all look exactly the same as him
Yeah.
and everything. I feel like that might be confusing for viewers if they start doing like multiple variants that like, oh, this is Kang 1, Kang 2, you know what I'm saying?
Council
Like
Kang
Kang's.
type thing.
So yeah, so I really hope that they do this moment where it's like, what's worse than Thanos? Oh, like 3 big villains. Like, and instead of doing like, and it would be like Kang and 2 of his variants, and it would be like Kang, Immortus, and Ramatut and their armies versus like
Yeah.
the Avengers or whatever, like Kang teaming up with other versions of himself. And that would be, I think, like a moment like that would be mind blowing because then you could bring people in, like you could bring back Steve Rogers, like as Cap, and you could have like John Walker fight beside Steve Rogers in this like against armies again, and it would be very in game esque,
I
like
think we'll
and
get that as well.
yeah,
I think we'll get
I think that would be an awesome kind of idea because then that allows like characters who have basically taken the jerseys and retired them to put the jerseys back on and step back into the
All that
limelight
style.
and save the day once again. And that's going to make the audiences show back up. Like if I really believe like 10 years from now, like if you say RDJ is going to come back and play Iron Man, everybody's going to flip out. Like everybody will be there
I'd
to
be
go see that.
So
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You know how Endgame was big? It's because it took 10 years. So we're probably going to
Yeah.
have to wait another 10 years to get something as big as Endgame.
Yeah,
So
I
think
agree.
about
And
this.
it's
Think about
the
this
same-
though.
Sorry, Joan, one sec.
Yeah.
So what you just said there, Alex, is exactly the same as I should imagine, because I'm just a little bit too young for it, but I should imagine how people felt about Luke turning back up in the Star Wars movies. You know, they're like, well, we haven't seen this guy for 35 years or however long it's been, and now he's turning back up. I mean, granted, they weren't great, the movies, but, you know, still, Luke's turning back up. Like you said, everyone's going to flip out at Luke turn up. I mean, even, you know, seeing what's happened in the last couple of weeks in the Star Wars world, and some of the characters turning up there, everyone's gone, you know, crazy about that. So I can see your point, Alex. You're absolutely right. If you knew it was coming and it had that 10-year build up that Fred was talking about, it potentially could have that same feeling as Endgame. Sorry, Jarian, go on.
Yeah. So think about, I want to take Alex's idea one step further. So think how Endgame or Infinity War and Endgame was a 2-movie with all that build up. I could see a King Dynasty movie in 3 parts. The first one, like Alex said, you're going to have Immortus, Rama-Tut, and King's armies versus everybody, and they just completely wipe the slate clean with all of them, except for maybe a handful of few. They use the multiverse to come back up. Or what you have for is the second movie, you have the one true King, right? Then you have one of the kings turn and say, you know what? I want to be the one true king. I'm going to kill every other king. That could be the second part of the saga. The third part is those people that remained from the first one, somehow they get through the multiverse again and bring
With
back other
Loki.
characters like Loki, maybe, that kind of stuff, or any of them. Maybe they bring in one of the what's the, I'm going blank on the name. Scarlet Witch's Nexus Being. They bring other Nexus Beings in, and then it's basically they bring everyone back, and it's everyone versus one true king and his army. That would be something interesting to see on screen. I think that could top Infinity War Endgame and the Infinity Saga.
I like the second idea. I like the second movie in there. It's a bit like Jet Li.
Yep, the one I watched this weekend.
One.
Oh, did
Yep.
you? Oh, right.
Yes, I did.
That's where the idea come from then. Yeah.
I watched it yesterday.
Oh, okay. Right, yeah. But I haven't seen that for years. But yeah, it's a little bit like that, isn't it? He has to kill all the other ones, all the other himself, and he gets more powerful each one he kills. Yeah.
But and there's sort of like that the king has done in the comics too, where he's kind of had to go through and wants to be the one true king. So someone goes, sold. I'm sold. Take my money. So Marvel, if you're watching, there's your topper to Infinity War Endgame is that the King Dynasty in 3 parts. The rise, the turmoil, and the fall.
And this goes back to RMC also said something earlier on, and he said he had a great idea for the ultimate fan service. Let us do auditions for our favourite characters. And also let us write the stories. That's what we should do. But Fred, there you go. Do you see the point? Do you see how we? That's why we love your posts, because this was to do with the box office, I thought, and we've just all of a sudden talked about it. But this is the point, isn't it? And this is what our group is all about. It's about this kind of discussions and theories, and watching you sort of go down the rabbit hole a little bit, and sort of, just one sentence, one idea, one little question, just spiraled. So, someone, I got some high feedback from someone. I don't know where that's coming from, but
noise.
Yeah, I think it might be me.
Fred's making loads of noise. Fred, thank you for those 4 questions.
I'm gonna mute him real quick, maybe.
There you go.
Oh, he's good. Right.
Yeah, I fixed it.
He's put the foot down.
So, Andy's audio. Oh, there you go, Andy. You're back. Your audio went out.
Oh, it's probably stepped on my remote again.
Yeah. You're freezing a little bit. It might be your connection.
Fred. Oh, okay. I tell you what. You talk.
Yeah. So Fred, thanks for coming on today. We're not done yet.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We enjoy the agree or disagree, and glad that we could do the 100th one on here. But we're not done yet. Let's get into some news. So I
Let's
talked
go.
about earlier about one of your comments about they couldn't do Punisher, and that kind of stuff. So there's been some chatter about Moon Knight pushing the boundaries of what they can do as far as content and how far they can go. And just before we went live, I published an article to the group. It looks like Moon Knight will be TV-14 rated. So it does seem they're going to start looking at more mature, more adult content. There's also been a rumor as well that Disney might be launching something new. I mean, there's a new platform, an extension of Disney Plus, or possibly a rebrand of the Star Network, which we don't have in the U.S., but is available outside the U.S. So it does look like they're going to have some kind of sections for more adult content on Disney, which would lead to those shows, because at the end of this month, the Marvel Netflix shows are no longer going to be on Netflix.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so Disney has the full rights back now. So where those go, there's been talk about Hulu. There's been talk about the Star Network. But I follow one of the guys from the hashtag show, and they do like a weekly AMA, and he's been talking about there possibly is a new platform or something new coming from Disney for some of these adult content. Also, Chapek, who is the CEO of Disney, I think, he's also said that he wants to get more adult viewers and to help the subscription on Disney Plus with more adult content, oriented content recently as well. So it does seem like Disney knows they have a blind spot here, and that, hi Barb, and that they're going to cover it. And they're going to cover it. So it looks like either it's Disney Plus, the rebrand of Star, another section on Disney Plus, but I don't think it's going to be Hulu, just for the fact that I haven't really seen a lot of positive comments about the Hulu content being not on Disney Plus. So there's some news there in regards to that aspect.
That would be great. That would be great. I just, but does that mean like after that, Punisher could be in an Avengers movie?
I think so still too, because they still put, because you look at the movies though, they still did a lot of stuff in the movies. I mean, look at Black Widow, for example. They hit on sex trafficking, right?
True.
Yeah.
So they can still hit on that type of stuff in movies. We're getting a Blade movie, Deadpool.
Yeah.
The Deadpool MC movie is rumored to be rated R. I think the only rated R movie they're going to have. So I think they're going to start pushing those boundaries. And as we go down the paths of the darker side of MCU, Werewolf by Night, Moon Knight, Blade, Ghost Rider, those type of projects, I think we're going to start seeing it go that way. Andy, I think you're back. Your video's better now. Yeah, you're back.
Good.
So.
Oh, good. Hey.
Yeah.
I bet everyone was like, thank God. But everyone's like, thank God we ain't got to listen to that British idiot anymore. So, I was listening. So, yeah, I think that's all great. That they're going to bring all these shows into one place. It's good that they're gonna compact everything. But yeah, I don't know. I think we said the other week, didn't we, Joan? When I can't remember, someone said something about a show on the MCU being brutal, or I don't know, something like that. And I said, I don't know. I'll have to see it before I believe it. And using the words Disney and brutal in the same sentence, I don't know. I'm not sure. What was I watching? I watched Kick-Ass a couple of weeks ago for the second or third time. I haven't seen it for a long while. And just when he gets beaten up, he gets the absolute crap kicked out of him. And, his face is all bleeding and cut open, big cuts and, jaw hanging off this way and all this. And I mean, he's been beaten up. He's been properly beaten up. And then in Hawkeye, don't get me wrong, I loved Hawkeye. One of my favourite things in the last couple of years. Absolutely loved it. But I think Clint gets an absolute beating from somebody. I think it's Yelena, and he's got like a red mark here and then like a slightly cut lip. And other than that, he's fine. And you're like, he's literally been punched and kicked about 15 times in the last 60 seconds, and he's got a couple of little bruises. I don't know. I don't know whether Disney can do it. I just don't know whether they can bring themselves to do it. Do you know what I mean?
I think they can, because if I was a betting man on this rumored platform that they're going to rebrand Star and launch Star in the U.S. and other countries where it's not today for that content. And this comment here on the screen, read an article where Kevin himself said, filming Moon Knight gave people pause, but he said he wouldn't pull back. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Is that Moon Knight is going to push the limits and the boundaries, and
Yeah.
we're already seeing now where that they're going to make it TV 14. That we're going to start seeing more of that content, and I think they'll find a balance of it to go forward. And that's why I think we'll see the Punisher come back. You know, some of the Jessica Jones stuff that we saw in her series, those type of things as well. So
yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
let's hope so. Let's hope so, because I think somebody mentioned it the other day that the Marvel fan base, even the MCU fan base, is 10 years older now. So
Yep.
even if you was 12 in 2008, you know, you're 22 now, and you know you can take more sort of mature themes. They've obviously still got to cater for younger audiences, but I think that they need to grow with their audience as well.
yeah, if like for example, I've got a 7-year-old son, and he's seen most of the. He's big into Marvel. He's seen majority of the Marvel movies across the different networks. You know, he still hasn't watched Deadpool, but you know, maybe when he gets a little older, he can watch Deadpool. But
Mhm.
he watched a lot of this stuff with me, and then you know we either turn it off or you know skip over it or that kind of stuff. I don't show him everything, but it's something that they're gonna have to find that balance because you still do have that younger generation now, you know, that are watching some of these movies. Where you might have to start looking at that as well. So I think a
Yeah.
balance is going to happen. The last piece of news I have today is the Super Bowl is happening today. It's going to be in 1 hour here. So during the Super Bowl, there's supposed to be a Multiverse of Madness trailer drop and also a Moon Knight TV spot.
Fred's happy.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. He's like,
Can't wait.
But I want to give some warning out there though. And when the trailer gets posted to the group, the rumor has it that this trailer is going to expose some stuff. So if you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch the trailer when it's posted to the group. You know, I'm gonna watch it because I know a lot already about the film, so it's not gonna be a phase to me. But I expect possibly some smaller cameos to be shown, possibly some rumors that you know that kind of stuff. But I'm not gonna go too deep in that because I don't want to slip and say anything.
So I said to you earlier, didn't I? Like, I trust that Marvel will not give us so much that they leave nothing for the movie.
Yeah, for sure. They didn't show Toby or Andrew at all, and ever. Like it was a big surprise for the movie. Well, we all kind of knew, but
Yeah.
you know, we kind of pretended that we didn't.
we pretended that we didn't. Yeah. But no, I'll make you right though, Fred. That they didn't, and they kept a lot. They kept a lot back from that. I think they did keep a lot back from that, and I think I think they will. I think they'll do all right. I'm going to watch it, and these guys know how I feel about spoilers. But I'll watch the trailer. I trust that what they release in the trailer will be ideal for a trailer, and it won't ruin the viewing of the movie when it actually comes out. So
if we see any cameos, I bet it'll just be small cameos. It won't be any of the major ones. You know.
No, Patrick
Tom
Stewart,
Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
You'll hear me scream from Kansas if it's Tom Cruise they show in that trailer.
I tell you what, he'll delete all his accounts and everything. He'll be like, "That's it." Who said this?
That must be RM.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I do think that if Tom Cruise was cast in the first movie, we would not be here at this point.
Yeah.
I think it would have flopped.
That's strong. Do you know what? I don't really actually mind him, to be totally honest.
I just don't think he would have stuck around for as long, to be honest. You know, like he wouldn't have been there for what, 10 years.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not against. So who's being no, I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I don't necessarily want him as another Iron Man or in the MCU at all. But I'm not against him, if I'm honest. I really like the Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah, no, for sure.
The last thing I'll say about that cameo, if they're gonna do Iron Man, and if I'll say one rumor out there that Illuminati may be in here. That's where these rumors are coming from for those cameos. If they're gonna go that route, just show the Iron Man armor and a voice. Have the person who voiced Tony Stark in What If do it. Go that route, or have Justin Hammer be the multiverse Iron Man. You know, kind of a play on that from what we've seen so far with Sam Rockwell, or have it be Rhodey. But you know, I don't know.
Was it we're talking about the voice before we just finish up today's episode? Talking about the voice, was it Adrian Passar, the guy?
I think so. And Andy froze.
Oh,
You're freezing up again.
All right, Jorin, finish this episode off.
All right. Yeah, I think it was the Adrian person he talked about and who voiced him very well. Or they could bring back the one from the cartoons. He played Nathan in Heroes. I can't remember his name, but they could have him voice him too as well. But yeah, do that. Don't show the face, or have it Sam Rockwell, or have it be Rhodey as Multiverse Iron Man. Just don't do Tom Cruise, please. Please don't. I'm like that Michael Scott. Please God, no. But anyways, we're getting to the end here. Andy's underwater or in a time machine, or being captured by the TVA for doing something for Divergent in the multiverse. I don't know. So I'll close it out today. Thank you everyone for watching our first live stream. Thank you, Fred, for coming on. As usual, the video will be posted through our channels as well to rewatch. Look forward to doing more stuff as well. Before we head out, Fred or Alex, anything before we go?
Oh, thanks for having me. I've been listening to the podcast for a while, and for a while I've been thinking like it would be kind of cool if I could join for one episode, and here I am. So I'm glad. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Fred.
All right, well, that's it. I'm sure Andy wants to say something, but he'll freeze.
He can.
So I'll say thank you for Andy as well, and we will catch you guys next time.
He's giving a thumbs up.
Why don't you tell him about the time we faced